Laverne and Shirley was a beloved sitcom that brought laughter and heart to audiences everywhere. But behind the scenes, life wasn't always as picture-perfect for its cast. Over the years, some faced personal struggles, unexpected tragedies, and career twists that reshaped their paths. As we step into 2025, where are they now? Have they found peace, success, or new beginnings? This journey through their highs and lows will reveal the untold stories of resilience, reinvention, and the enduring legacy of a show that defined an era. Cindy Williams, who was 29 when she first appeared as Shirley Feeney in Laverne and Shirley, became beloved for portraying the sweet, hopeful dreamer who often played the moral compass to Laverne's mischief. Off-screen, however, her life was far more turbulent. After the show's success faded, Williams struggled to find consistent roles, often cast in underwhelming television pilots or forgettable films. She married musician Bill Hudson in 1982, and they had 2 children, Emily and Zachary, but the marriage quickly soured. Allegations of infidelity and long separations during his touring led to a bitter divorce in 2000, and her relationship with her children remained strained, especially after a custody dispute that made headlines. Williams faced chronic anxiety and depression, exacerbated by financial struggles and an estrangement from Hollywood peers. In 1995, a failed attempt at a comeback in a stage production ended prematurely due to a nervous breakdown. Despite periods of reflection and volunteer work, she lived her final years in relative obscurity. Cindy Williams died on January 25, 2023, at age 75 from a brief illness. Her estate was estimated at $400,000, largely composed of residuals and the sale of her modest Los Angeles home. Eddie Mecca was just 24 when he began playing Carmine, the big Ragusa, Shirley's on-again, off-again boyfriend whose ambitions to make it big on Broadway gave his character endearing depth. Off-screen, Mecca's own ambitions were constantly thwarted by a fickle industry that typecast him as a song and dance man. Though he continued performing in small theater productions and guest spots, fame eluded him. He married actress Deli Lively in 1983, but their marriage dissolved after just 7 years due to conflicting career goals and his worsening alcohol issues. They had 1 daughter, Gina, with whom he lost touch during her teenage years. Mecca filed for bankruptcy in the late 90s and spent years couchsurfing with former colleagues. His health deteriorated due to diabetes and years of substance abuse. He died alone in his Newhall, California home on November 27, 2021, at age 69. His death, ruled as cardiovascular disease, came just as he had begun talks to write a memoir. Mecca's estate was estimated at $50,000, mostly personal memorabilia and modest royalties. Phil Foster, 57 when he took on the role of Frank DeFazio, gave the show its emotional heart as Laverne's gruff yet affectionate father. A veteran comic from Brooklyn, Foster had built a steady if unremarkable career in stand-up and supporting roles. He was married to Rose Levine for over 30 years, and they had 2 sons, Michael and Anthony. Yet behind the scenes, the marriage was marred by long separations, Foster's gambling problem, and Rose's struggle with depression. He was reportedly distant from his sons, who described their father as always chasing a laugh, never home. After Laverne and Shirley, Foster attempted a return to stand-up but suffered a heart attack in 1982 that left him weakened and largely housebound. Financial pressures mounted, especially after he invested poorly in a failed nightclub venture in Las Vegas. He passed away on July 8, 1985, at the age of 72 from complications related to his heart condition. At the time of his death, his estate was worth approximately $150,000, a shadow of the fortune he had once hoped to build. Leslie Easterbrook was 27 when she dazzled audiences as Rhonda Lee, the aspiring starlet whose confidence and style added a splash of Hollywood glitz to the show's final seasons. Unlike her glamorous character, Easterbrook's real life was plagued with disappointment and missed opportunities. Though she later gained notoriety as Lieutenant Callahan in the Police Academy films, roles began to dry up in the 1990s. She married actor Dan Wilcox in 1985, but the union turned toxic due to his abusive behavior and ongoing substance abuse. They had one daughter, Nicole, who distanced herself from both parents after years of instability. Easterbrook's depression deepened after her divorce in 2001, and she quietly withdrew from the public eye. She attempted to reinvent herself as a drama coach in rural Colorado, but the venture folded due to lack of funding. Now 75, she lives in semi-retirement in a small home outside Boulder, sustained by modest residuals and pension income. Her estate is estimated at around $500,000, and while she rarely gives interviews, she remains fondly remembered by fans, though her personal life remains marked by estrangement and silence. Ed Marinaro, who portrayed Sonny St. Jacques on Laverne and Shirley at age 30, radiated rugged confidence as Laverne's short-lived California love interest. While his athletic build and smoldering looks made him a natural on-screen, his real life was marred by personal demons. After the show, he struggled to find meaningful roles and was often typecast as the jock. His marriage to fashion model Rena Messina was passionate but rocky, marked by infidelity and emotional distance. They divorced after 11 years, sharing custody of their only son, Marco, who later battled addiction and estrangement. Marinaro remarried a younger screenwriter, Dana Klein, but the union lasted only 6 years. He withdrew from public life in his 60s, reportedly battling bouts of depression and alcoholism. Despite the setbacks, he found solace mentoring troubled teens through a youth football program. Now 75, Marinaro lives quietly in upstate New York. His estate is estimated at $850,000, having lost much of his fortune in failed real estate ventures and costly divorces. Though he still receives occasional fan letters, he remains haunted by what could have been in his acting career. Harry Shearer was 32 when he took on the role of Norman Hughes, a dry, sarcastic character with a knack for stealing scenes with just a glance or muttered punchline. Though the role was minor, it showcased Shearer's uncanny timing and intelligence. After Laverne and Shirley, Shearer rose to greater fame with The Simpsons and This Is Spinal Tap, but his success did little to shield him from personal turmoil. He married author Judith Owen in 1993, but their union was fraught with tension, stemming from Shearer's obsessive work habits and emotional unavailability. They remained childless by choice, but Owen later confessed in an interview she regretted the decision. Behind the scenes, Shearer battled severe anxiety, often retreating into long silences between gigs. He distanced himself from his siblings after a legal dispute over their parents' estate. Now 81, he lives a reclusive life in New Orleans, surrounded by music but few close friends. Despite everything, Shearer's net worth stands at an estimated $5 million, a sum that belies the loneliness and regrets he carries quietly with him each day. Penny Marshall, who brought fierce heart and Bronx-born humor to Laverne DeFazio at age 32, became a beloved icon of American television. Her tough exterior and wisecracks masked a deeply insecure soul who never fully believed in her own success. Behind the scenes, she struggled with substance abuse and depression throughout her career. Her marriage to director Rob Reiner ended in divorce in 1981, following years of infidelity and growing emotional distance. She had one daughter, Tracy, whose relationship with Penny was strained for decades due to Penny's long absences and unpredictable moods. Marshall's directing career soared briefly in the late 80s, but repeated flops and health scares in the 2000s pushed her into a quiet, often isolated existence. She survived lung cancer but continued to smoke and drink, contributing to her declining health. Marshall died on December 17, 2018, at age 75 from heart failure related to diabetes. Her estate was valued at $10 million, a fortune largely bequeathed to her daughter and charities supporting mental health and the arts. Her wit lives on, but the laughter hid a lifetime of pain. David L. Lander was only 29 when he embodied the unforgettable squiggy, turning a simple catchphrase into pop culture gold. His off-kilter delivery and exaggerated gait made him a standout, but fame didn't translate into long-term fortune. Diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1984, Lander kept the condition secret for years, fearing it would end his career. The disease isolated him, causing both a physical and emotional decline. His marriage to comedic actress Kathy Fields survived but suffered under the weight of his illness. They had one daughter, Natalie, who later spoke of her father's emotional distance and mood swings. Lander turned to voice work, but as his symptoms worsened, he withdrew almost entirely from Hollywood. Despite his upbeat public image, he endured severe depression, financial strain, and dependence on caregivers. Lander died on December 4, 2020, at the age of 73 due to complications from MS. His estate was modest, estimated around $300,000, having dwindled due to medical expenses and reduced income. His legacy remains bright, but his life was shadowed by the disease that took his voice and strength far too soon. Michael McKean, who was 28 when he took on the role of Leonard, Lenny, Kosnowski, infused the character with a lovable oddball energy and musicality that made him a fan favorite on Laverne and Shirley. Lenny's childlike innocence and bizarre antics, often paired with Squiggy, defined one of TV's most iconic comedic duos. Despite his professional acclaim, McKean's personal life took darker turns after the series. He married actress Annette O'Toole in 1999 following a divorce from his first wife Susan Russell, with whom he had two sons, Colin and Fletcher. Colin died from a heroin overdose in 2012, a tragedy that devastated McKean and strained his second marriage. Professionally, McKean faced long periods of typecasting and was haunted by the shadow of Lenny, struggling to find serious roles despite his dramatic range. He suffered a near-fatal accident in 2012 when a car hit him in New York, sidelining his career for years. Though he made a return with roles in Better Call Saul and theater, he battled recurring depression and health complications. Now 77, he lives in partial seclusion in New York. His estate is estimated at $3.5 million, though he has reportedly donated much to addiction awareness programs in honor of his late son. Betty Garrett, who was 57 when she portrayed Edna Babish, gave the character a salty resilience and a big heart as the girl's no-nonsense landlady. Her commanding presence was grounded in years on stage and screen, but behind her smile was a life of endurance. Garrett had been married to actor Larry Parks, who was blacklisted during the McCarthy era, forcing the family into financial ruin. Though they stayed together until his death, the experience scarred them both. Their two sons, Andrew and Garrett, struggled under the weight of their father's legacy and the family's prolonged hardship. After Laverne and Shirley, Betty's career stalled, and she returned mostly to stage work, earning critical praise but little financial reward. Her final years were lonely. Both sons distanced themselves, and she often confided to friends that she felt forgotten. Garrett died of an aortic aneurysm on February 12, 2011, at the age of 91. Her estate, diminished by medical bills and the upkeep of her modest Los Angeles home, was estimated at $400,000. Carol White, who was just 27 when she brought the brassy, fast-talking Rosie Greenbaum to life, added a vital spark to Laverne and Shirley's comic rhythm. Rosie's competitive edge and bold fashion sense masked a vulnerability White understood all too well. Off-screen, Carol battled self-esteem issues and a tumultuous marriage to talent agent Danny Rosenthal, which ended in a bitter divorce in 1989. The couple had one daughter, Megan, whom White raised largely alone. She struggled with disordered eating and bouts of clinical depression throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Though she remained a familiar face in sitcom guest spots, the substantial roles dwindled. By the mid-2000s, she had left Hollywood behind, living in relative obscurity in Palm Springs. Her strained relationship with Megan, who became estranged after publishing a tell-all memoir, marked another emotional blow. Now 76, White leads a quiet life in a care facility, occasionally giving interviews reflecting on fame and its aftermath. Her current estate is estimated around $600,000, mostly tied to residuals and pension funds. Beau Capral, who was 28 when he played the smart-mouthed Terence Lonergan, brought dry wit and an outsider's sensibility to the show's rotating ensemble. While his screen time was limited, his writing talents led him behind the scenes of several TV productions. Unfortunately, Beau's personal and creative life never quite aligned. He married costume designer Janine Colbert in 1976, but the couple divorced by 1984 after a series of financial disputes and Beau's admitted infidelity. They had no children, though Beau later expressed regret over that in a 2011 interview, calling it his biggest failure. After the 1980s, his name faded from Hollywood circles, and his freelance scripts were frequently rejected. Struggles with alcohol and a gambling addiction drained his resources during the 1990s. Though he attempted a comeback in the 2000s with modest success in cable production, his health declined in his late 60s. Now 75, Capral resides in a small Chicago apartment and mentors young screenwriters online. He receives modest royalties from syndication but lives frugally. His estate is estimated at $350,000, largely from residuals and modest savings. Vicki Lawrence, who was 30 when she portrayed the strict but quirky Sergeant Alvinia T. Plowed on Laverne and Shirley, brought a commanding energy to the screen. Best known for her comedic chops from The Carol Burnett Show, she pivoted briefly to sitcom work, but Plowd gave her a chance to showcase a more authoritative side. Despite her professional success, her personal life was less joyful. Her marriage to songwriter Bobby Russell dissolved amid infidelity rumors, and her second marriage to TV producer Al Schultz, though long-lasting, was marked by deep emotional distance. They had 2 children, Carrie and Lucas, but both struggled with substance abuse and had tense relationships with their mother. Lawrence battled chronic illness in her 60s and was plagued by financial mismanagement that depleted much of her earnings. In recent years, she's lived reclusively in Santa Barbara, reportedly estranged from her children. Now 76, she remains a cherished name but one rarely seen. Her estate is estimated at $900,000, diminished from what it once was, mostly tied up in property and medical costs. Henry Winkler, 31 when he brought Arthur, Fonzarelli to life, skyrocketed to fame as the leather-jacketed icon of cool. But the shadow of Happy Days and his brief appearance on Laverne and Shirley loomed large, typecasting him into oblivion during the 1980s. Despite later revivals, the golden glow of Fonzie never returned. Married to Stacey Weitzman since 1978, their relationship was publicly sweet but privately fraying, strained by Winkler's long absences and her battles with breast cancer. Their 2 children, Max and Zoe, both struggled under their father's fame, with Max undergoing rehab 3 times. Winkler privately admitted he never felt seen as an actor beyond the Fonzie image. He suffered from severe dyslexia and anxiety, often hiding it behind humor. Despite these struggles, Winkler remained resilient. Now 79, he continues sporadic appearances but spends most days in quiet isolation in Brentwood. His estate is valued at $6 million, much of it locked in royalties and real estate investments. Paul Sylvan, just 28 when he took on the role of Duke, the flashy, cocky ladies' man on Laverne and Shirley, was seen as a rising star. But Duke's swagger did not translate into lasting fame. After the show, Sylvan's acting career spiraled. Failed pilots, substance issues, and a 1982 DUI charge derailed what little momentum he had. He married fellow actor Dana Mitchell in 1985, but the union was short-lived, marred by financial instability and infidelity. They had one daughter, Brielle, whom Sylvan reportedly has not seen in over 2 decades. A brief stint in real estate ended in bankruptcy. His parents disowned him after a tabloid scandal in 1991 involving a rehab center lawsuit. Sylvan lived for years in low-income housing in Pasadena and was spotted working as a parking lot attendant in the late 2000s. His current whereabouts are unclear. He may be living under an alias. If alive, he would be 75 today. His estate, if one exists, is estimated to be under $10,000, likely consisting only of old memorabilia and residual checks. Who is your favorite character from Laverne and Shirley? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.